What's up, guys? Welcome to Grant Speaks Canes. New name, new logo, but we're doing the same thing, and that's talking about our Miami Hurricanes. Today, Mario Cristobal was on the Joe Rose Show, so we're going to take a look at what he had to say, dissect it. If you want to listen to this interview without my input, without my reaction, I will leave a link in the description so you can go straight to it. But let's see what Mario Cristobal had to say to Joe Rose after camp, 2 weeks away from Notre Dame. Let's check it out.
Well, less than a couple weeks out from that first nationally televised game at Hard Rock Stadium on a Sunday night against Notre Dame. And Coach, thank you for joining us. I always wonder. So, any more scrimmages, or are you still competing at this point with physical practices, or you start to cut back a little bit?
Well, first of all, good morning, Joe. Thanks for having me. The practices continue. School has begun, but we are still have a blend of both camp-like practices while at the same time doing opponent work. And mind you, throughout camp, you do opponent work, but certainly it becomes a lot more focused right now. But we are maintaining a lot of the competitive situations at positions alive.
So I always wonder, because you have so much. I just feel so much better about the depth of this team and the veterans, and we'll get into some of it, but also some of the young guys to make you feel good about some potential guys that could really help this early this season. Is there still a lot of open jobs, or you got a pretty good idea right now who will start and who will be rotating in?
Well, I can tell you we feel pretty good about what we know we can do well and what are the things we need to work on. And we threw a lot of guys in live situations the past couple weeks. And some guys are definitely ready, and some guys showed a couple of hiccups, under the lights, and that's all right. They're still a work in progress and still developing, and you make sure you're very blunt and very direct in making sure you get players' feedback, a plan to get better. You continue to enhance the ones that have done really well. You set your goals offensively, defensively, and special teams wise, and you figured out what you do well, what you feel you're going to be from an identity standpoint, and you roll with it. But you always maintain the competition alive because we do have, again, more competitive depth at a lot of positions.
Hey, so you're in a unique situation. This doesn't happen to everybody in college football, where you lose your top four wide receivers and your top tight end, who is one of the top tight ends taken in the draft, played a lot of downs and gave you a lot of production a year ago. So between the transfer portal and guys that you brought in out of high school, how do you feel about this group as you've now had a couple of weeks to see them here?
I feel strongly about them, Joe. They've been really, really good. And their work ethic is what really has separated them as, relatively a new group. When I say new, you just mentioned the guys from the portal, guys that were developing, young guys, and other guys that just got here. It's a great blend, and there has been leadership provided by, in the form of C.J. Daniels. The guy flat out came in, and his work ethic, his regiment, his dailies are just they're big time. He's got all the tools and all the leadership qualities of a guy that can really make an impact, and he did. And he helped that room mature along with Coach Beard, Coach Varner, those guys, Coach Hofer. Those guys did a really good job of helping this group attain maturity more quickly.
Now, I'm intrigued to see a lot of the new faces, but I'm very interested to see what this wide receiving core is going to be about, because we're hearing so many different names. I mean, you got the young gunners, right? The Malachi Tonys, the Josh Moore, the Dylan Upshaw. Then you got the transfer portal guys, the C.J. Daniels, the Tony Jeffersons. And I'm wondering, how is it going to work out? Like, who's going to be out there? JoJo, when you look at our team, the wide receiving core is the one that I have a lot of questions about. And it's not, questions about the talent, but it's the question about how are we going to rotate the guys in? How are we going to keep everybody in? Because we got a lot of capable receivers, and you can have a lot of capable receivers, but will there be one or two that separate them from the pack that we say, that's the one? Because throughout camp, you're hearing names and you can throw out names, but me and you, we all know that Greentree, we love Greentree. We think Greentree should be competitive. We think Greentree is where legends are born, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but we've also seen players have good reports throughout camp, and they get into the game, and the bright lights hit, and it's not the same. Who's going to perform under the bright lights? Who's going to perform under the bright lights? When the pressure's on and plays got to be made, who can make a catch? Who are we going to go to? That is what I'm interested. And I think these wide receivers, they should be excited because you're going to be helped out with a veteran quarterback in a running game that's going to set you up for success. And right off the bat, we should know who's our top receivers, I think. If there's a heavy rotation, now obviously if they only play 3 to 5 guys, we're only going to know about those 3 to 5 guys. But if we see a heavy rotation, we should know who's the alphas of that wide receiving crew, because you're going to be going up against a good secondary in a primetime game and a high pressure game. So this isn't like you're going up against a G5 school or lower level school and a player scores 2 touchdowns and you say, well, it was against blah, blah, blah. No. You're going against a rival, prime time, under the bright lights. Who's going to step up? Who do y'all think it would be? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Those guys I mentioned before, without saying all their names, they played a lot of snaps for you. I mean, they lined up and they played, it seemed like from the start of the game to the very end with all the tight ball games you had with your 10 wins last year. You see more guys playing, especially early on. You could see more rotation, more guys at the wide receiver position getting playing time.
We feel good about that. We do. And we'd like to do that so that guys could play at their best throughout the entire game. But it's got to be earned, and we feel that we're on pace to have enough guys earn a legitimate 2-deep rotation where the quarterbacks feel comfortable with whoever's in at those positions.
I was going to ask that question. That's a good one. And I saw your offensive coordinator, Coach Shannon, talked a little bit about this. Carson Beck, like he likes his input. He starts to get a feel like quarterbacks get certain guys, hey, I really like what this guy's doing. Does he have input as we get ready to talk about Carson Beck? Does he have a little input in as far as receivers he likes and who he feels comfortable with?
That is a great question. When you have a wide receiving battle, because we've had a mad exodus of wide receivers, does your veteran quarterback get a say in who he's comfortable with? That's a great question, Joe. That's why I like the Joe Rose show. That's a great question.
Well, I think his performance is the input, right? I mean, guys that perform well together, I mean, that speaks so loudly you don't have to say anything. So I think it sticks out on the film, and let's call it what it is, man. If a guy's supposed to be at 12 yards and he's consistently at 15 or 16 or 9, well, you know what? We're not quite there yet, because timing and precision in the passing game, as you know, Joe, is critical, cannot be compromised. So we have honed in. We're in a situation where we feel really, really good about who the 2-deep is, but we're going to keep the competitive part as to who rolls out there first alive.
There's 2 guys that I said, hey, man, if this thing's really going to work, and I hate to do this, and I know you're going to disagree, and it's just watching, and it's the radio part of me here. Justin Scott and Ahmad Moten are 2 guys that I think need to take the big jump of consistency and play to that potential, and they could really help this thing. Would you agree you're counting on those 2 guys a lot?
I agree. They have, and they better, right? It's their time. And call it what it is, brother. We've recruited those guys, and they're good players, and we've worked hard. And at some point in time, when you wear that U on the side of your helmet, you got to step up and do it. And it's their time, and we feel confident that those two are going to have a great year, and we push them hard and going to keep pushing them hard, and they have the benefit of every day going against Inez Cooper and Francis Mainoa, you know? And that right there that gets you more ready than any meeting we could ever have.
No excuses. Ahmad Moten, Justin Scott, there is no excuses. The interior defensive players, y'all got to look at what has happened. You know, just like the wide receiving core, you guys have had a couple guys leave, and it's your time to step up. You got one in Justin Scott, who was a 5-star, showed flashes last year, but just a flash or two. You were a 5-star for a reason. You had a year. We want to see that 5-star talent with a couple years of development and a couple years of the weight room, and we want to see you do your thing. Ahmad Moten, a guy who has stayed loyal, who stayed on the grind, who did some good things last year. We're ready to see what you can do. And then Mario Cristobal said, you know what? And this goes for the entire defense and the entire defensive line. I feel like y'all wasn't being utilized properly. So to put you in the best position, I'm going to go get a defensive coordinator that's going to let you boys hunt. Now, we haven't seen the game tape of what this defense will look like under Heatherman at Miami. But the word on the street is there is no more oop-de-oops and loop-de-loops and stunt to the left and run all the way here. Mario said, I want y'all to whoop the man in front of you and get it done. And the next thing is like Mario said, and this is why I say our D-line, y'all should be ready to go. Because Mario has said, okay, you got the opportunity. We went and got you a defensive coordinator that's going to let you go hunt the quarterback. And then you're facing off against an offensive line in which I take pride, me being Mario Cristobal, in building and making best, which then in turn should make you a better defensive lineman. Like Ahmad Moten said, I don't think we're going to face a better offensive line than the one we line up against every day. Okay, you say that. Well, let me see how good you've gotten lining up across from Inez Cooper every day. We got to see it. And the thing about it is Justin Scott and Ahmad Moten can be great recruiting stories because Mario can say, hey, you see Justin Scott? He picked us over Ohio State. He came here. He played a little bit his freshman year. Sophomore year, he took off, and he did great things. And then he could go to somebody else and say, you see Ahmad Moten? He was loyal to the soil. He developed year in and year out. In his senior year, he took off. So it's important that they take advantage of this opportunity. And if they do that, not only will it help us off the field, they become great stories that Mario and staff can use on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good point. Hey, so Coach, also, as you look at the depth, we haven't talked much about him on the show. I think this is like 7th year, but everybody's been raving about him. Mo Toure, how good has he been?
Yeah, Mo is a big physical, violent tackler, knockback tackler, extremely smart, plays with a ton of heart. He's a big league guy. He really is. And getting to know Mo, there's a lot to him, man, a lot of substance, a lot of leadership skills, and a guy that, he's been awesome. And I can't wait to watch him play in this system, which he's very familiar with because obviously he was with Coach Heatherman back at Rutgers.
So Heatherman went out and got one of his guys, got Mo Toure. The only thing that anybody can say about him, because his resume speaks good, is his injury. And if they've done the research on him and they think he's healthy, and so far we haven't heard anything otherwise, I'm excited to see our linebacking core as well this year.
I felt like last year we didn't really get to see Ruben Bain. The guy gets hurt right off the bat, comes back, had a little bit of production. How does he look now that he's 100% back for you?
I don't think Ruben's ever dropped off in production. I thought he was awesome as a freshman, and in the games he played last year, he did a great job coming off a pretty significant injury, and he's worked his tail off, making sure that he leaned up, became more explosive, honed in on his craft, spent hours and hours with Coach Taylor, just doing everything possible to do a better job using his hands, stopping the run, getting off the football, playing blocks. I mean, you name it. He's become a film junkie. And we expect an awesome season from him.
Ruben Bain has never been a bad player. Even last year when he was injured, he wasn't a bad player. But freshman Ruben Bain was different. Freshman Ruben Bain did some things that a kid or a player at his age shouldn't have been able to do. Or is not you don't see it a lot. So last year, that's why Joe Rose asked the question, is because – yeah, if you're judging Ruben Bain off a normal defensive lineman, yeah, he did good. But when you judge him off the standard that he set his freshman year, he didn't live up to that, and he had a good reason because of the injury, because of how the season started, and because of how the defense was in total. A lot of people talk about how the DBs or how the D-line can dictate a defense. But what about how a secondary can dictate a defensive lineman? Do you think Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor can get a couple more sacks if our DBs can hold on just one more second? If our DBs can cover just a little bit better? Because I'm telling you right now, last year it was Hut, throw the ball. Hut, throw the ball. And when you can't cover to your best ability, that's going to take away a couple of sacks, a couple plays from your defensive line. So I say that to say, yes, we want to see, can Ruben Bain get back to the standard he set in his freshman year? Then can a new and improved secondary, a new and improved defense of strategy even help him more? And if it can, oh, man, I feel bad for tackles. I feel bad for guards. I feel bad for centers. I feel bad for quarterbacks and running backs. Hell, I feel bad for the wide receivers because Ruben may knock one of them out.
All right, so the other position that you went out and really fixed up through the transfer portal, brought in a whole bunch of guys, not to mention you guys you've recruited that are getting more and more comfortable in your system, and that's that secondary. I thought the day I was out there, man, everybody wanted to know how the secondary look. And I said, man, they get their hands on a lot of footballs. Have you seen that over the last couple weeks as well, where guys are making plays back there?
No doubt. They're long, physical guys, and the young guys that we recruit, they're doing a great job. And, I mean, it's a position that obviously you can never be short there. We've learned our hard lessons with that, right? I mean, football has become a space game, and as the year goes on and people get nicked up, you better have people that can cover, man, because if you don't, it's going to be a problem. These guys can cover, they can tackle. They're just committed to the game. They're in here day and night, and we're going to push them. We want more out of everybody on the field, and at this time of year, it's more like I get away from praise and I get more on, hey, man, let's get after it and let's get more out of everybody in the organization.
Yeah. All right, getting back to Carson Beck. Everybody talks, hey, listen, everything in every level of sport now, we start with a quarterback. How's Carson Beck look to you? And we didn't have him during the spring. I thought he looked really good. Everybody wanted to know. I said, look, there ain't no problem with the arm. He just got to get his timing with his receivers.
Yeah, he's both met and exceeded expectations, both as a player and as a teammate, as a person, as a leader. And, it's kind of interesting. We've been at, I believe, 17 practices and an entire summer, and we still have a couple of weeks to keep getting ready for every single game coming up this season. He's been excellent. And, again, man, just, this is kind of that neutral week, right? It's like purgatory week. You're not in game week, and you're not exactly in camp and school started. So the bottom line is the work continues for him. We're going to push him. We're going to press him as well as everybody else in the organization.
Salute to Carson Beck, man, because in the world of social media, Carson really could have He could have crashed out, right? Because the man took Georgia. They didn't have their best offensive line. Running backs injured. 2 of the starting wide receivers arrested. The rest of the wide receivers led the league in drops. And then when he decides to leave, everybody just crashes out, or everybody just gives him the blame. Then he comes to Miami. Everybody just forgets what this man has done on the field. They only talk about how much he made. Then he gets to Miami, and there's rumors about him not being a good teammate, from the Georgia side. They're saying, y'all got Carson, but he's not a good teammate. Then he's dealing with the whole girlfriend thing. Then people steal his car. Meanwhile, you're going through all that. Think about all that. And the one thing that you can hold on to, the one thing that has been the consistent in your life, is taken away because you are rehabbing from an injury. Carson didn't whine, didn't complain, didn't get on social media. He didn't let it faze him from all reports. And this man just kept chugging along, to now we see him. He's throwing. He looks good. He's high-fiving his teammates. Every time I've seen Carson, anytime they're doing a feature with him, he's with the teammate, went through the first part of spring practice, not been able to participate, but they're watching. He has done everything he needs to do to earn, my respect. I don't know if he's trying to earn my respect, but I think it would have been easy for this man to crash out. You had all this going against you. Nobody giving you credit. I mean, he was making, he made a little money, you know what I'm saying? But still, the mental is a big part of it. And I look at Carson like, you got to be strong mentally to deal with the social media, losing the game you love because you're injured, not being able to participate but staying locked in. You got to be strong mentally to go through that. So now that he's gotten over that hurdle, now he's doing the thing he loves, that's playing ball. You see him on the interviews, amazing interviewer, knowing exactly what to say, saying what he's saying, confident. And I'm like, now we just got to do it in the games, man. I know one thing, when we signed him, I said, I don't know about the injury. Well, all reports say he's good. And then I got to hear him on the microphone. I got to see what he went through and how he persevered. As I said on the last time, I am riding with Carson Beck. Let's go.
All right, so everybody always likes to know about that true freshman class coming in, and most of them were in spring football. Can you talk about a couple of guys? I get asked about Malachi Toney out of American Heritage Plantation a lot. Heck, in his story coming out of high school, became the quarterback when the quarterback went down, and all the things he did. How has he been? The day I was out there, he was making every catch possible in the middle of the field.
Special talent, special work ethic. Special DNA. That's the best way to put it, and just getting started.
How do you explain, like, some guys come in and have that, hey, I'm here to play right now. I don't know who you guys are. And you got other guys, like, oh, no, I understand. These guys have been around a while. It's going to take, it's not going to happen overnight. How many of those kind of guys do you have in this group?
Well, I think, in the words of Art Kehoe back in the day, he said it perfectly. Recruiting is the most imperfect science in the world, right? I'd be interested to see what the first-round success rate is in the NFL, and that's with, millions of dollars invested in research and assessing each prospect. So you just never know when a guy's going to hit it, man. Some guys walk in the door like Francis and Ruben, and, they're ready to strap it up and go, and other guys, they take their – another year, sometimes 2, and sometimes even 3, Joe. And that was normal in football for a long, long time.
It was.
Now it's just because there's money involved in NIL and expectations and social media. Now, everybody's an expert and everybody thinks they know when a guy should develop. A person is going to get pushed and he's going to be guided and taught and mentored up until that guy develops to the best of his potential, and then you keep going. And
to that point, it was announced that Saquon Patterson has been dismissed from Oklahoma State. And I bring that up because that shows you what Art Kehoe, what Mario Cristobal is saying. We always talk, I always talk about stars. I bring up stars because when you make videos and you're talking about a player, it's important to do that because that's just how we've been conditioned to talk about these athletes. But you never know what's going to happen. I could have swore up and down. I would have told you in your eye, Saquon Patterson is going to be at least a 3-year starter, if not a 3-year contributor. Because I think at the high school level, the way that he was a tackling machine, once he gets to college, he's going to get bigger, stronger, faster. He's going to be able to do that. But then you look at the situations that didn't happen, and now, he's not on the team. Then you look at a guy like Malachi Toney, who, everybody's been raving about him. But I think he's still exceeded that, People said he was good, but then he gets here and bam, he's good. Dylan Upshaw is the guy who we probably signed and people said, oh, yeah, welcome to the U. Then he started doing things in camp and people were saying, oh, man, Dylan up. So it's just so crazy. I just find it interesting how you can see a player dominate in high school and then get to college, and this isn't something recent. This has been happening. It's just crazy how it is an inexact science.
it may be day one, and it may be year 3. Teaching is teaching, and teaching is a vocation. And brother, you got to be all in on it till it pops, and that's the route we take over here.
I didn't want to ask the deepest positions. I know we talked going into this whole thing about the offensive line and the running back position, the 3 guys you have. Everybody's raved about how good they've been. Is there some other positions you feel good about now that you've seen enough and go, I think we're going to be all right?
I think we're more on par with the rest of the country. I think everybody's trying to figure out if they can get to a legitimate 2 deep, I would say 2.5 deep, right, with some guys who are developmental. It's really hard to get there nowadays, again, with the way the portal works and, how, again, transient football is. But we feel that we have put ourselves in a position to be successful because of competitive depth, caliber of player, and systematics.
The other interesting one, because we've mentioned you can't talk college football without transfer portal, and it's important to everybody in the country now. How do you get ready for another team? And you've seen guys at other schools now all of a sudden they're playing the school, and you're trying to figure out how they fit in and how good they are, and they weren't on the team you're getting ready to play's roster a year ago. How hard is that to get ready for those guys and scout them?
Well, you do it all summer. Sometimes you got to even dig into high school film when a guy's going to play in their first game that have never played college football. But same thing with coordinators, right, that have been in different spots. You look at where they've been and how they've played against teams that have similar systems that you have. And then you look and assess at the caliber of talent of the portal guys that both came and left to assess, okay, where are the areas that we want to attack on this particular team. So it is a relentless process, but it is all off-season, Joe. It doesn't stop. And you've seen some of the documents that we put together from a scouting standpoint. It's really extensive.
Yeah. So as we look at this whole thing, and obviously, I could tell you feel better about the overall depth, and everybody wants to match up. Hey, how was last year's team versus this year's team? But as I look at, I would just feel, and I feel just talking to you the last couple weeks, you feel a lot better about your overall depth for this team going not only for the first game but throughout the year when guys go down.
We feel that every single year we progress, and this year is no different, right? And you never find out until the final game of the year and the final results as to where, you've actually landed. But there hasn't been a year that we've been here where we haven't felt better going into the season about what we have put together. So, and that doesn't stop now. At this time next year, we expect to feel the exact same way, if getting better.
Yeah. Listen, man, Coach, really appreciate you coming on, and maybe we can grab you.
Great interview, as always, by the Joe Rose Show. Link to the interview without me interacting with it will be in the description. Y'all make sure y'all go check that out. Stay locked in with the channel, guys. More content on the way. New logo, new name, same thing. Talking about them Hurricanes. I'm out. Peace.